So last night I was watching my buddy Hack the Movies play some Uncharted on PS4. He was live streaming it on YouTube. If you've never heard of Hack the Movies, don't worry, I don't think anyone has heard of Hack the Movies. But check out his channel, he's a good dude on a serious note. But anyways, while I was watching him play Uncharted 4, someone came into the chat and I ended up talking with them, and they were very against console exclusives, and it got me thinking. And, really wanting to make a video on this. Are console exclusives, a positive thing or a negative thing? Are console exclusives good or bad? Well, let's find out what I think. The guy I was talking to was very against console exclusives, and he felt it was very anti-consumer, and I asked him what he meant by that. And his main point was there should be a device that will be able to play all games, and you don't have to worry about the consoles. Console exclusives hurt the industry. And I think that can't be farther from the truth. I think console exclusives are a great thing. If you look at the history of video games, you always bought a system based on console exclusives. If you wanted to play a Mario game, you bought a NES or Super Nintendo. If you wanted to play a Sonic game, you bought a Sega Genesis or a Sega branded system. And it's always been like that in gaming since the dawn of time. Every system has had its exclusive titles, some more so than others. So as far as the anti-consumer statement is concerned, I don't think that's true at all. I think if anything, it's further from the truth, because what would end up happening is if you don't have console exclusives, if you have every game available on every platform available, then you wouldn't have as many platforms available. Why would you have 3 platforms if all 3 platforms play the exact same game? And he kind of retorted to me with that by saying, well, that's kind of like a TV manufacturer. What if you could only watch a certain brand of movie on a certain brand of TV? And to me, that's completely different. Like, if you put it side by side, sure, you could maybe make the argument, but you have to look at the distribution of film since the dawn of film. It's always been, the TV is just simply the display. What you use to play the DVD, the Blu-ray, the VHS cassette is up to you. That gives consumers options. And if you put everything on one platform and you put, every game available, you put all your eggs in one basket, that creates a monopoly. And has there really ever been a monopoly that's truly pro-consumer? I don't think there has. If you look at the state of wrestling, when was wrestling greatest? When there was competition. Now, if you watch mainstream wrestling, you have the WWE and there's no mainstream competition. Sure, there's smaller companies that are a joy to watch, but really, at the end of the day, the WWE has a stranglehold on pro wrestling. And that's what this would translate to in video games. So for all of the people who say, oh, Nintendo should go third party, I think that would be so terrible, because when you look at the history of video games, there have been 3 video game companies that used to produce consoles that have now gone strictly into games, and that's Sega, Atari, and Neogeo. Now let's look at Sega. Sega was, huge with the Dreamcast, the Genesis, the Saturn, and the Master System, Game Gear, so many amazing platforms. And Sega always had their own games on their own platforms. That's what made them great. These arcade ports, games like Virtua Fighter, Sega Rally. There was so much Sega branded stuff on Sega systems. And since Sega has gone out of the home console business, aside for the first few years, the PS2 and Xbox and GameCube got excellent support, I feel. But the PS3, the Xbox 360, and modern consoles, is Sega really the same Sega that they were when they were making consoles? Hell no. Think of how many franchises have disappeared. Streets of Rage, Virtua Fighter, Shining Force. Like, the list goes on and on of forgotten Sega franchises because they no longer have a dedicated platform to put all of these on. They would be oversaturating the market because, there's similar games out there. So for Sega, they really downcreased their production of games. There wasn't a huge influx of games now that they don't have to worry about hardware attached to it. If anything, it did the opposite. Let's look at Atari. Atari was huge, in the late 80s or early 80s to mid 80s. Atari 2600 was the console. And then they got into, the 7800, the Lynx, the Jaguar, and then they went out of business in the home console market and went into just strictly making games and publishing games. And Atari's gone now. So, okay, that's 0 for 2. Maybe Neogeo stepping up to the plate. The Neogeo was one of the best arcade, systems ever. It had perfect arcade ports, and it was the most powerful system on the market at the time. And what happened to Neogeo? Now you get to play all your Neogeo games on the Switch. they're just arcade ports because Neogeo doesn't really make any new games. So it's 0 for 3 of companies that have gone out of hardware and just strictly into software. But I think the biggest thing that people are forgetting is console exclusives sell. If you look at PlayStation 4 software sales, Uncharted 4 is the 4th highest selling game on the console. If you look at just North American, it's the 3rd highest selling game, only being beaten out by GTA 5, which is a huge phenomenon, and a Call of Duty entry. But there's many Call of Duty entries below that. So first-party software is still very important. First-party software creates jobs in the gaming industry. There would be a huge gap of, people, talented individuals, graphic designers, coders that would just be out of a job if we went to this one system monopoly, because there wouldn't be enough to go around. Think of it like this. Companies already schedule games to come out at certain times, and they will delay a game if they feel that there's too big of a game coming out. So could you imagine if you had a Halo, an Uncharted, and a Mario all come out in the same month? Do you honestly think that that would happen if there was only one platform, if there was only one console manufacturer that could play all the games? Of course not. You're not going to have this huge influx of games because there's not going to be enough money to make all of these games. There's going to be so many companies going out of business, so many smaller companies going out of business because they can't try something unique on a platform that's dedicated to that. Think of how the PS Vita was. The PS Vita was a JRPG machine. There were so many amazing JRPGs on that system. Would those games have come out if there was only one platform? No, because companies can't take risks. Every company would play it safe. Every company would just release, another version of the same game. If we went to a one console system, if we got rid of console exclusives, it would be the death of the gaming industry as we know it. And I don't understand why people are so for it. Like, they say it's anti-consumer to be able to, have a system exclusive. But if anything, it's pro-consumer because it's giving you a choice. You choose if you want to buy a Nintendo platform. You choose if you want to buy a PS4. You choose if you want to buy an Xbox One. And guess what? You could buy all 3 of those systems for less than a PC. I'm just saying. So, I don't know. It's an interesting topic, I guess. I really don't feel that console exclusives are a bad thing. I think they're very good. They help drive system sales. They help indicate what is going on with that system. And it indicates what is popular with that system. It helps systems sell. And a variety of systems is a good thing for the industry. A one system industry sounds absolutely terrifying. So let me know what you think about console exclusives in the comment section down below, if you're pro or against. And if you're against, I don't know, I guess you probably dislike this video. But make sure you like the video anyways. And thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.
RGT 85, RGT 85. RGT 85, RGT